for me, that top end of the hourglass is a situation in which one has transcended the lower energies of motivation because they're unhealthy and also they're unsustainable. Anger is a very powerful fuel source, and it will catalyze a lot of activity and in some cases, a lot of success. But at some point, that fuel source is going to either run you into a pit or you're going to run out of that fuel.
I had this exact conversation with Alex yesterday saying he's a big proponent of use what you have. And most people have way more resentment and anger than they do hope.
Yeah.
I do agree for activation energy. To get yourself out of whatever the 0 to 1 stage is, you need to use what you have because 0 to 1 is the hardest. The first 1,000 subscribers, the first blog post, the first whatever it is that you do is always the most difficult one. So use what you have. The problem is, if you find that that fuel source is potent, you can end up relying on it over time. And the problem is it's toxic when you use
it becomes its own addiction.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And it has its own euphoric byproduct. When you engage with that anger, there's something exciting about that.
Well,
and when you have success doing that, you're going to go back to it and you're going to go back to it. And you're going to have to run into an obstacle before you decide to change that way.
Yeah, I called this the vestigial pattern bias. It's technically referred to as the Einstellung effect. But basically, the thing that you did when you started that gave you success, you refuse to let go of when you no longer are served by it. And a lot of people find success by grasping on really, really tightly.
But the delusion or the lie is that that is the source of the success. In the same way that a lot of people, a lot of creative people, when they get sober, think they're never going to be able to write another song or be able to perform in front of people or, paint a picture or whatever it is, because it was the drug that was giving them the inspiration and the spark that allowed them to be their best, most artistic self. It's the same lie, whether it's anger or resentment. And the fear is, if I clear that out, if I transcend my anger, if I make peace with the people in my life and I let go of these resentments and I'm in a place of forgiveness, then I'm going to have no ambition.
Where's my fuel?
Yeah. And my business will crater and my life will be over. And I think that's a very real fear that a lot of people have. And I understand that. As counterintuitive as it may sound, my experience has been quite the opposite. And I've been lucky enough to witness people's lives blossom and explode in the best way, in miraculous ways, by overcoming those character traits or character defects that they once thought were sources of fuel, only to learn that they were hindrances and anchors. When liberated from that, there is a sense of capacity that expands, that then creates a life that's ultimately bigger than the one they could have imagined for themselves.